With just one day to go until Election Day, data indicates early voting is breaking records across the country. According to the United States Election Project, which tracks voter turnout, more than 97 million Americans have voted early, either in person or by mail. Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RealClearPolitics, joins me now on Skype to take a look at what the polls are showing going into Election Day. Tom, welcome. Good to see you. So we know an incredible amount of people voted early, but we don't know who they voted for. Polling shows Joe Biden with an edge over President Trump at the moment. How does that break down in the battleground states?
Well, it depends. You have to go state by state, and trying to divine from the early vote, the eventual election outcome is really fraught because we don't know if these are new voters, if these are voters that would be on Election Day but are just exercising a different option this year because of COVID or what have you. We don't know which way independents are voting. So, but what we do know is turnout is going to be huge, and we have record voting across. In some states, they've already completed more votes than were cast in all of 2016. And so the question is, who might that benefit overall? I think the conventional wisdom is that's a good sign for Joe Biden, but I'm not necessarily sure that's the case. If President Trump is going to win this election, he will need record turnout in rural areas among his base supporters. And he may end up getting that. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Tom, mathematically, both candidates still have a path to the 270 Electoral College votes needed to win. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Right. So, at the national level, Joe Biden is leading by about 6.5 points in our RealClearPolitics average. But when you get down and look at the individual states, we have 5 or 6 states now where the lead, Biden's lead or Trump's lead, is under a percentage point. In Arizona, in Florida, in Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio. These are all states that President Trump won in 2016. He's going to need to win them again. But if he does, if he gets the turnout he needs and he wins those states, then we're back focused on the upper Midwest. It's Pennsylvania, it's Michigan, it's Wisconsin, and it's perhaps even also Minnesota this time around.
As we know, both President Trump and Joe Biden are really fighting for votes in Florida. What are you watching down there, and how's it looking so far? Who do you think will end up taking that state?
Well, so the polling's mixed. Biden's got a small lead, but again, Trump overperformed his polls in Florida in 2016. Republicans overperformed their polls in 2018 in the governor's race and the Senate race. The early indicators look in Sumter County. That's where the Villages is. Trump has been struggling with seniors, so we'll get an indication whether that's manifesting itself. And also look in Miami-Dade County, where Joe Biden needs to run up the score there among Democratic voters to keep pace with what the Trump vote that will be coming in from the Panhandle and other less populous parts of the state. So I think if we see a call in Florida, certainly if Trump loses Florida, I think he's lost the election. It's 29 electoral votes. His path goes down to almost nothing if he doesn't win Florida. Conversely, if the networks are able to call Florida for Donald Trump, that would be a good sign for how the rest of the election would go. But if it is too close to call, then I think we're going to be in for a very long night and maybe go into overtime in some of these states.
Tom, we don't have a lot of time left, but I do want to get to this last question. Throughout the race, we've heard a lot about demographics needed for both candidates to win. For President Trump, there was a lot of talk about the suburban women. Former Vice President Biden is hoping to build on the African-American and Latino support. Where do things stand, that is, on those fronts?
Well, I can tell you the Trump campaign feels very good about where they stand with African Americans and also Latinos, particularly in Florida, but also in places like Arizona, North Carolina, and even Pennsylvania. They feel like they're going to do very, very well with both of those minority groups, particularly with men in both of those groups. But obviously, the suburban women, there's going to be a huge gender gap this year. Trump is struggling with women, suburban women in particular. And I mentioned seniors. This is a group that Trump won in 2016. And I think perhaps because of COVID and his handling of COVID, they've been disproportionately impacted by that. And he's been struggling with those voters. A lot of them have defected to Joe Biden, or at least are indicating to pollsters that they were leaning toward Joe Biden. So we'll have to wait and see how that vote turns out. But it's going to be fascinating to watch how the different coalitions have shifted between 4 years ago and this time around.
All right, Tom, thank you so much. We appreciate your analysis. Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RealClearPolitics. Thanks again.
Thank you.